The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. It's the Ron Van Dam Show.
Hold on tight, things can get a bit weird, if you like that sort of thing.
Hey, welcome to the program. It is the Ron Van Dam Show. That's who I am. Thank you for being here. I'm a little winded, a little out of breath. I had to walk here. That's a lot. Welcome to the show. How are you? If you're watching this for the first time, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I could talk about things like that are going on in the news, but who wants that? And I don't know much about what's going on in the schools, and I'm not on the school committee, and I don't work for the town, and I don't know how to do floral arrangements, and I don't sell real estate. I don't know what good I am. But what I do is radio and TV. I've been doing it for over 30 years, and I had a television show in the Boston area, and then I had on 3 different radio stations doing their morning show for 3 hours every weekday morning. And I'm still on syndicated radio, and I do this podcasting because that's what you're supposed to do. And we're on all the platforms, over 2,800 episodes, and then once a week I come in here and I do this for half an hour, which is kind of a visual version of the radio show that I do, but not, because I don't have any guests on this. I just sit here and talk like monologue-wise, and sometimes I can't even do that, apparently. And that's it. I don't particularly care for people as a human race. I don't think this is working out very well, and the older I get, the more I realize just how stupid everything can be if left to its own devices. And that's about it. Have yourselves a wonderful time, and we'll see you next week. I went to a Chinese restaurant a few nights ago, and that was quite entertaining. I love Chinese food. I'm from New York City. Thank you. Hold the applause. I love various cultures. I love being surrounded by cultures, people from different countries. I find them fascinating, interesting. They find me interesting. Really, huh? So, it's fun. And the foods and the cultural foods are so interestingly different and exciting and refreshing. And it's just a festival for the taste buds, and it's just wonderful. I love to cook myself. That I don't mean like I put myself in a pan and baste myself. I mean, I like to cook myself. I like to cook. Well, that sounded wrong too. So I'm into all that stuff. Chinese food is something just all of a sudden I think of it, and then I've got to have it. I've got to go get Chinese food. And I don't know what it is about Chinese food, because it's kind of odd. In a way, Chinese food is very fattening. But the American version of Chinese food is what we eat here in this country, obviously, and that involves a lot of deep fried stuff. And it's not really very good for you. Every time I go out and have Chinese food, the next morning I weigh myself, because I weigh myself every once in a while and make sure it's still fit in my clothes. And I weigh myself, and I got a couple of pounds on me just because I ate that the night before. But it's one of those. For me, it's just something that you do. It's one of the joys of life. However, Chinese restaurants, Chinese food culture doesn't quite know how to properly name their menu items. As a matter of fact, I don't know of any culture or any food culture that misnames their dishes more than this. It's actually funny and yet a wonderment. For example, they have chicken fingers. Now, you know and I know that those things, the chicken fingers are not the fingers of chickens. Chickens don't have fingers, and if they did, we wouldn't be eating them. So they're not chicken fingers. Are they in the shape of a finger? Maybe. But they're not chicken fingers. They're deep fried. I don't know what they are. They're like long nuggets. They're like chicken nuggets. I don't even know what chicken nuggets are. Is a nugget a part of the chicken? If it is, I don't want to know which part that is. Chicken fingers, incorrectly named. Then there's crab rangoon. Interesting, but if you've ever had that, there's not a stitch of crab in that thing. There is no crab in crab rangoon. Rangoon. It's just dough deep fried with cream cheese in the middle, and it's tasty as hell, but there's no crab in it. You know, when you name things and there is nothing in the product of the name that you said it was, that should be punishable by law. As a matter of fact, I think in the Bible, it's in Genesis or Leviticus, I don't know which, paragraph 3, sentence number 17, and in the Torah, it's like halfway into the scroll thing. There's no crab in crab rangoon. Chicken fingers, they're not the fingers of chicken. Then we get really stupid, and we have the sauces. The most popular Chinese food sauce is duck sauce. There's no duck in it. I've looked. I've gone through the little plastic cup, and I'm looking to see a little duck or something, some remnants of a duck. It's not in there at all. When I taste it, I don't know what a duck tastes like, if it were cremated or something, but it's, or in a blender, but it doesn't taste like duck. I don't think at any given time they even took a duck and dipped it into this thing to make it somewhat ducky. There's no duck involved. I don't think ducks have been near this sauce ever in their entire history of duckdom. Yet they call it duck sauce. It doesn't stop there. When I was a child, my parents used to take me to a Chinese restaurant every Sunday in Teaneck, New Jersey. That's where I lived as a child, and that's where we went to the Chinese. They had one Chinese restaurant. We went in. It was quite nice. And they had lobster sauce. In those days, back in the 1500s, there were actually chunks of lobster in the lobster sauce. Now, as you probably know, there's no lobster in lobster sauce. The lobsters and the ducks apparently are not going near this stuff. There's no lobster in it. It's ground up pork. How you get lobster sauce to be named when there's ground up pork in it with brown gravy, I don't understand that. There's a lot of things in life that I don't understand. This is like one of the wonders of the world. Why did you name it that? I'm giving you a long list of things that didn't exist that are named after things it's just wrong. And I seem upset only because I'm trying to be theatrical to fill a half an hour on this show. But that's not where it stops. Then how about the egg roll? Well, that's such a staple of the Chinese American cuisine. The egg roll. It's dough that is stuffed with cabbage and deep fried. Where's the egg? What egg roll? It's a cabbage roll is what it is. It's a cabbage roll. Again, no sign of an egg. Now, maybe there's an egg used in order to get the wrapping of the egg roll in order to stay together. Maybe they put a little bit of egg on it to seal it up. I don't think so, but that's possible because in cooking you do that. You do. Egg roll, misnamed as well. And I have also named many of the items in the poo-poo platter. Oh, come on now. Are we going to go there? Are we going to go there? It's because the things in the poo-poo platter have been named in a poo-poo manner. Is the poo-poo platter a foretelling of what's going to happen a couple of hours from now? Little kids, they love to say, hey, I have to go do a poo-poo. Well, we have a whole platter for that with misnamed Chinese items on them. And this is the American Chinese cuisine. You've got to understand that the Chinese people, as I have seen, when I go to Chinese restaurants that have true Chinese staffs, they take a break and they go to a separate table and they eat their food, when they're on their break. And I always walk by that table because I'm enthralled with it. And they're not eating that crap. They're not eating the fried crap at all. They're having rice with some vegetables and a little protein, and that's it. I assume that the owners of the Chinese restaurant are probably in the back going, I can't believe these people are eating this stuff. But they do, and we're making a fortune here. The more we deep fry the items, the more they love them. And let's keep naming them stuff that has nothing to do with the food group. They don't even care. They don't even think about that part of it. It's kind of amazing. And then there's the rice. In this case, you can get all different kinds of rice because rice is like the baseboard of the cuisine. As a matter of fact, no matter what you order, no matter what time of day, it's going to come with rice, and it's going to come with a truckload of rice. Not just a little bit of rice, not just a lot of rice, not just a lot of rice, but a truckload of rice. I mean, a payloader worth. When you hear the beeping in the background, that's the truck backing up to your dish. You can have white rice, which is basically nowhere. Actually not good for you, in my estimation. Then you have brown rice, which has some fiber in it, so that's okay. That's passable. But then they have the fried rice. Do you want fried rice? What is that? Rice that's been fried with pork in it and some vegetables, basically the pork, but we fry it up in a wok. So you're just proving to me that no matter what it is, you're frying it. This is the basis of your American Chinese cuisine. Even rice, we'll fry that if you want. It's like, whoa, that's enough. Stop it. Stop doing that. I know that's what we asked for, but it's not going to help us live much longer. Poo-poo platter, my God. Every time I go into a Chinese restaurant and hear somebody in the background ordering poo-poo platter, I turn around just to see what they look like. I just need to know, where do you come from? What is your, how do you find that to, at what point did you decide, I'm just going to eat fried food and see how long I live now? Seriously. They eat the food in a very dietary manner, and I'll give them that much, the culture of the Chinese food. And that is, and this is how you can recognize people that are culinarily, professionally sophisticated and people that are not. The sophisticated Chinese culinary people use chopsticks, 2 little pieces of wood, and it sounds like there are utensils to survive in the jungle. I don't know. 2 little sticks, and with that, they eat. They maneuver the sticks together, if you're not familiar, and it's a balancing act and a skill in a sense, and they eat like that. The reason that it's so artful is that you can't put a lot of it in your mouth at once because you can't pick up anything that's... Try to have rice with, that's why they put starch in the rice. It's because you can't pick it up otherwise. You'd be there for a week. So you're tending to consume in a slower pace. And that's about it for them. If it's soup, which is, by the way, it's not really soup. It is a bowl of sodium. But that goes for any soup. Did you ever have soup that was low in sodium? No, thank you. I get it. I get why you put all the sodium in it. But that's not a good thing. So we'll just pass on the soup. Thank you so much. So you get, the wonton soup, and the egg drop soup, which I think they really do drop an egg in it, and partially by mistake. And then you have the hot and sour soup. Oh, it's hot, but it's not really that sour. So, but anyway, so what they do is they pick the bowl up and they drink it like what you told your kids not to do with their soup bowl. Don't use your spoon. Don't put it up to your mouth. Oh my God, don't do that. Unless it's in a Chinese restaurant. The American version of all of this is I don't have time to play games with my food. This is not a game of skill here. I just want the food in my mouth as fast as possible. So we have forks and spoons and knives. You don't even need the knife, really. We just shove the stuff in. And with the fork, we can eat really quickly and get everything on the fork. And that's how we do it. But the Chinese culture says, slow it down, babe, slow it down, slow it down, slow it down. Chopsticks. There's one thing in the Chinese cuisine that does not exist, and it's about the only thing that I found to be a thing, and I don't know why, and I didn't Google it because I don't Google. I don't want to know that much. I've had it with information. Since the internet came out, I said to myself, all right, now I don't want to know anything anymore. I'm not doing this. I can't. I'm a little older than 24 years old, and waiting for the laughter to die down. And I don't have any more room up there. I just don't. I have a certain number of brain cells. Through my life, I've spent many of them to the point that they are not usable anymore. So I don't have that much room. I am like a parking garage in Boston. There's no more space. There's no vacancy. Sorry, we're full. That's the way I am with information. I can't take in any more information. If I were to find out things like, why someone doesn't do something or why you name that Chinese food that thing, I don't have room. I don't have room to retain that. So I don't want to know. But in the Chinese culture of cooking, they don't have any cheese. Now, you might say, Ron, they do have cheese. I say, no, they don't, or at least in the American version, they don't. And you would think if there was any version in which they would introduce cheese into the cuisine at all, it would be the American version of Chinese food. But it's not there. And I can't think of any Chinese food offhand where a slice of cheese on top would be appetizing in any way, shape, or form. So I get it. But they do have beef in their cuisine as a protein, which means they have cows and cow-like animals, and therefore you could have dairy if you so choose, but they decided not to do the dairy thing, which is probably very healthy for them, but Americans don't understand that. So there's no cheese involved. No cheese. That makes it very, very different in almost every other culture. Indian food, not a lot of cheese, but I'm sure they'll sneak that in there every once in a while. When I was an adult in this living in this particular area, there's a strip mall in a town called Brockton. Are you familiar with Brockton? Whew, wow, has that sucker changed, huh? It's a little city called Brockton. It's I don't know where it is. It's not far from here, but I don't know where it is. Anyway, they have a strip mall. They have quite a few strip malls. And there's a Chinese restaurant there and a dry cleaners and something else. But in this Chinese restaurant, very smart, I don't know if they're smart or not, but what they do is when you're walking around the strip mall, all you can smell in the air is this odor of Chinese food. And it's very effective. If you're within half a mile of this restaurant, you smell the odors coming out of the roof of this building, a vent or something, and you immediately want Chinese food. they do a pretty good business just based on luring people into it. It's like those cartoons where they smell something and then they're raised off the ground and their body floats along the vapor trail to the source. It's like that. It's very, either it's very, very smart that they do that on purpose, that they send the odors out through their chimney, their vent, or it's a law that you have to vent the Chinese cooking through a vent, and it just happens to smell good throughout the neighborhood. I don't know which one it is, but one way or the other, it's very alluring. And we love Chinese food. It's our go-to thing. One of the best things about Chinese, can you believe I'm doing a half an hour on this? I can't. One of the most alluring things about Chinese food is the Chinese food takeout. It's not eating there so much. It's taking it out. It's having this incredible cuisine in your home. Again, when I was younger, not the case anymore. Now if you do takeout from a Chinese restaurant, they'll put it in a plastic tray with a plastic lid on it. And that's what you bring home, basically. When I was younger, or even a younger adult, when you did the takeout Chinese thing, they put it in a carton, in a foldable carton that had little red Chinese writing on the side of the carton. I never knew what that said. It probably said, "Screw you," or something like that. I don't know I don't read Chinese. I don't know it at all, but I see the pretty. They look like pictures that apparently you can make words. I don't know, but they're little Chinese houses and things. It's beautiful. So you take that home and you get some chopsticks if you can in order to do the full thing. You dress in a kimono. You do all that stuff, and you sit there and you watch TV. You got to be watching TV. And you get the chopsticks out, I know, maybe a fork, and you open up the carton, the top opens up, and you eat out of the carton. And it's usually, the food has not been heated up necessarily, it's just warm. Or maybe if it's even cold, that's the way you eat it. It's just you eat out of the little Chinese carton. And that is, I wouldn't say it's romantic in a sense of romance sexually, but it's food romance. It's just something about it. And I think that that's the only cuisine where eating out of the takeout box is alluring. It's just, it's amazing, but it's true. Now, it doesn't stop there because the show's not over yet, and I got still about another 7 minutes to kill. But it doesn't end there. They have alcoholic beverages in some of these Chinese restaurants. And the beverages are all different colors. They're like orange and red and blue, and they use all these kinds of liqueurs in it, and just to my Thai, your Thai. Anyway, they have one drink called a Suffering Bastard, and I don't know what's in it. It's a blue drink. I think there's curacao or cocoa, whatever it is called. That blue liqueur stuff, they use that, and it's alcoholically potent. But I order it because I love the name. I just love the name. It's a Suffering Bastard. All the drinks basically taste the same to me, so it's just like whatever. I don't drink a lot of it because it's very high in sugar, and I do want to live a little bit longer, so no. But I used to drink the Suffering Bastard, and not so much for the drink itself, but because I could identify with what they called it. If people say you are what you eat, I am what I drink. I'm a suffering bastard. And I love to order it. When the wait person comes over, the waiter, the waitress, whatever you call them these days, they come and they say, "Can I get you a drink?" And I say, "I'll have a suffering bastard." And they don't laugh. But inside they're saying, "No kidding," right? They're saying "no kidding" to themselves. It's almost like they're saying, if I've ever seen a guy who needed a suffering bastard, it's you, suffering bastard. You're a suffering bastard. Yes, I am. I am what I drink. I relate to my drink. And when I drink the Suffering Bastard, I say to myself, yep, this makes sense. It makes sense now. That's the only part of the Chinese cuisine to me that makes any sense at all, is the Suffering Bastard drink. And if you're saying to me, Ron, I've never heard of a Suffering Bastard, go to a Chinese restaurant, ask for one, and look at the response from the server's face. They'll probably be saying, I know. I don't know if they're called Polynesian restaurants or Chinese restaurants or what, but I know a while back, like 20, 30 years ago, I am only 32 though, 20 or 30 years ago, they used to serve these tropical drinks, I guess they called them, Chinese Polynesian drinks. They used to have a very small umbrella. And they would put that on the side of the drink. Sometimes the umbrella would be, you'd have a couple of pieces of pineapple or a couple of cherries speared onto the umbrella stem like a shish kebab, and the umbrella would be open. And they'd put that in the drink, and it was always very beautiful. And I think people ordered those drinks because they were beautiful, because there was an umbrella in it. And I always thought, well, wouldn't it be funny if I saved my umbrella, and when it was just drizzling outside, not raining real hard, I'd use that, and then I'd walk down the street, and people would laugh and say, oh, that's very, very funny. Weren't you the guy with the Suffering Bastard in the restaurant? Yeah, that was me. And this is what I do. We never threw the umbrella. They were just so engaging. I don't know. This like, who came up with this? Who thought that in order to make a drink that looked very relaxing and very island-like, we'll put an umbrella in it. Is an umbrella the national symbol for paradise or something? Or is it like it's going to rain, want to keep my hair dry from frizzing? I don't. But the umbrella was a fascinating part of it. And then, to top it off, when you go to the Chinese restaurant, you don't get a dessert necessarily. You get fortune cookie. It comes with the bill. You get the invoice at the end of the meal, and they give you a fortune cookie. It's like, I got to pay for this? Oh, but I got a cookie, so okay, it's all right. I never opened the fortune cookie because it's embarrassing. Sitting at a table reading your fortune off of a little slip of paper it's not like in the back there was some professional psychic writing these things out tailored to your very personality. like there's a lady in the back. Hey, then a guy at table 27, he's not going to get a job this week. He's going to be fired. I got to write that down and put it in a cookie. They do things that are very non-committal, so to speak, and usually it's the female partner at your dinner date who opens these things up and reads them to you. Open your fortune. I don't want to. I'll read it. Oh, you are going to be a wealthy person. Oh. Well, I don't know, because I got to pay the bill. I don't think I'm going to be a wealthy person. No, I'm going to be a less wealthy person. Well, thanks for taking me to the Chinese restaurant. I don't know. So, yeah, the fortune cookie is pretty cool. I think you can buy them separately for no reason whatsoever. And you know that there's no professional psychic writing the fortune cookies. You know this stuff is not going to come true. But the day that it does, I'll be eating more Chinese food. All right, I'm out of time for today. I cannot believe that I spent a half an hour on this subject matter. And I kind of challenged myself at the very beginning to see if I could do it. In some people's opinion, well, I didn't. I didn't pull it off. In others, Ron, that was kind of interesting. But it wasn't. I'll be back again next week with another version of this show. In the meantime, you can hear me every single weekday on NewEnglandBroadcasting.com, or you can Google The Ron Van Dam Show and you'll find me everywhere. Join me every weekday for a different show. But until then, I wish you peace.